Yes, children, hi. How are you all? Hope you all are fine, good. Okay, all are safe, isn't it? Yes, okay, good. So, we all live in our house, isn't it? Yes. So, we are safe and comfortable when we are in our house. Yes or no? Yes. And you know, house is a shelter for us. It protects us from heat, cold, rain, etc. So we all live in house. It's a shelter. Do you think about other living things in this earth, like animals? Do they have shelter of their own? Do they build houses? Have you think about that? Have you ever thought about that? You can see many animals around us, isn't it? We can see many animals around us. We can see some in their open places. Some we can see they build their own houses. We can see some animals live on trees, some under the trees, some dig holes and they live in that. We have different kinds of animals, types of animals are there. Like domestic and pet animals are there. We have animals at home as our pet. Isn't it? We give food to them, care to them, we keep them in a particular place. So for domestic and pet animals, we will build shelter for them, or we make houses for them, a small house for them to be safe there, isn't it? So actually animals also need shelters to protect them from enemies, to raise the young ones. To raise the young ones, to take care of the young ones. You can see birds building nest on trees, keeping their small kids safe there, chicks safe there, isn't it? So, as like us, animals also need shelters, we say. They also need shelters to protect themselves and also to raise the young ones. So today we are going to learn about animals, the shelters, different types of animals, like animals are there live on land, some are live under the water, some are there on the trees, etc, etc. So today we are going to learn about them. Where animals live. Where animals live. That is the topic for today, or lesson for today. Where animals live. Lesson 15. Okay. Let's see where these animals live, how they build their houses, the shelters. So we are going to see about that. Let's read, okay? Yes, let's learn about animal shelters in natural surroundings. Natural surroundings means the surroundings where we live. Animals that build the homes, nocturnal animals, man-made shelters, shelters near us. These are the topics we are going to learn today. Okay, here you can see two children, they are talking each other. Hi Radhika, do you think animals also need houses to live in? Do you think? Yes, Mihika, the animals also need house just like human beings. Yes, just like us, animals also need shelters to live, to protect themselves, to raise the young ones. Okay, like human beings, animals also need shelters to protect themselves from the changing weather conditions. Weather is changing every day. Day by day we can see sometimes we feel cool, sometimes hot, sometimes rainy, so sometimes so sunny, means so hot, Sunday is so hot. So to protect themselves from this weather conditions, then from enemies, and to take rest. We also take rest in our shelter, in our home. Same like that, animals also needs to take rest. For all these things, they need a shelter. Some animals live in natural surroundings, while others build their own shelters. Some they live in the open places, but some they build their own shelters. Animal shelters in natural surroundings. Some animals live in the natural surroundings such as caves. Have you seen animals in the caves? Yes, caves, then halls, under trees, on the trees, etc. According to the places where animals live, they can be classified as terrestrial, arboreal, aquatic and amphibian. Means animals live in different places. We can see some animals in the open places like cow, dog, buffalo, cat, etc., etc. We can see in the open places itself, right? On this land itself we can see. Some live in halls, some live in caves. So according to the places where they live, we can divide them into different kinds of animals. Okay, so first one is terrestrial animals. T-E-R-R-E-S, terrestrial, T-R-I-A-L. Okay, terrestrial animals. Let's see what are these terrestrial animals. Okay, animals that live on land are called terrestrial animals. Terrestrial animals means animals that live on land. They live in different types of homes. In land, they build different types of homes and they live. Okay, so animals that we can see on the land, they are all terrestrial animals. Rock caves. Animals like bats, bears, lions and tigers live in rock caves. They are all terrestrial animals. They are living on the land only, inside the caves that built of rock. You can see the image there. Image of rock caves. You can see lion in the den, or we can say the cave. Okay, these tigers, they all live inside the rock caves. Then in the ground, some animals live in the ground, isn't it? Snakes live in natural halls in the ground. Have you seen? See the image here? Yes, they build the dig the halls in the ground, and inside they live under logs or in abandoned ant hills, under logs of wood. They live, or in the abandoned ant hills. Ant hills, ant lives in ant hills. So some ants won't be there. Abandoned means left out, where ants are not there. So in those ant hills, these snakes will live. Okay, so they live in halls in the ground, under logs or abandoned and some left out ant hills where ants are not living there. These snakes will occupy that place and they live. Then open places. Elephants, deer and giraffes live in the open places or under the trees. See, you can see the image. Elephant, deer, giraffe, and under the trees they live. The open places itself. So these are terrestrial animals, the animals that live on land. Lion, tiger, snakes, deer, elephants, they all live on land. Some under the trees, some in the rock caves, some in the halls. Okay, they are called terrestrial animals, animals that live on land. Next comes arboreal animals. So what are these arboreal animals? A-R-B-O-R-E-A-L, arboreal animals. Where they live. Arboreal animals means example monkeys, like monkeys and squirrels live on trees. Arboreal animals live on trees. Example, main monkeys. Have you seen monkeys jumping from one tree to another tree? They live on trees. Chimpanzees live on trees as well as on the ground. Chimpanzees a kind of monkey, isn't it? There are different varieties of monkeys we have. One among them is chimpanzee, then gorilla. Many varieties are there among the monkeys itself. So these monkeys mostly live on trees. So arboreal animal example is monkeys and squirrels that live on trees. So the animals that live on trees, they are arboreal animals. Okay, so we have seen animals that live on land. They are called terrestrial animals, like lion, tiger, elephant, snake. They are all terrestrial animals. We can see them on the land only. So lion, tigers live in rock caves, or snakes in halls. Then elephants, deer, giraffe under the trees. Then we saw about arboreal animals. They live on the trees. Example, monkeys. Then next, aquatic animals. Aquatic animals. A-Q-U-A-T-I-C, aquatic animals. A large variety of animals live near or in ponds, lakes, seas and oceans. Many animals are there. Not only on the land, we can see animals living under the water, in the ponds, lakes, rivers, oceans. We can see animals, fishes. We can see dolphins, whales, isn't it? Water provides these animals food and oxygen they need. Water provides food for these animals. Not only food, they gives oxygen also. Fish live, all fish live under the water. Fish have gills to respire oxygen. Through that organ they get oxygen to live in the water. Then fish, sea anemones, then starfish, crabs, jellyfish, whales and many other animals etc. live in water. These are some of the animals that live in the water. Which are those animals? Fish, sea anemones, starfish, crabs, jellyfish. You can see the images also. See the image of starfish, crab, jellyfish, snail. Okay, they all live, this starfish, crab, jellyfish, they all live in water. Eels live in small holes in coral reefs. Eels, it's like a snake actually. It's a fish but looks like a snake. That is eels, E-E-L-S, eels. It live in small holes in coral reefs. Coral reefs we can find deep inside the water only. Actually it's a kind of rock we say in the sea. It's formed by the deposits of coral reefs we say. So it is there inside the water, just looks like a rock. Inside that eels live. Then crabs and starfish live among rocks. Shells are a home to sea creatures like snails and turtles. Snails, turtle, you can see this image of snail there, snail. The snails, they live inside the shell. Shells are home for some sea creatures, sea animals like snails and turtles. Mussels and crabs are some seaside animals. So these are the sea animals that live in the water. Then seals, walruses and sea lions are semi-aquatic animals. Semi-aquatic means they live sometimes on the land and the same time they live sometimes in water. Partly in land and partly in water. Both. We know frogs and all. They not only lives in water, they lives on the land also. They live in polar regions, in the cold sea water. They come onto land to reproduce, to breed and rest. So they live in water, but why they comes to land? To give rise to young ones. To produce their babies they comes to land, and for taking rest also they comes onto the land. Polar region means the region where full of cold. These areas we can see this walruses, sea lions and all. Okay, they live both in land also in the water. So these are aquatic animals. Aquatic animals, a large variety of animals are there. Many animals like fish, then crabs, jellyfish, starfish, they all live inside the water. Some live inside the water, under the water. There is a coral reef made of, means a kind of rock. Inside that some some aquatic animals lives. Then there are few animals that live not only in the water, also on the land, like animals in polar regions like walrus, sea lion. They comes to the land to produce the young ones, to produce their babies and to take rest. So they are aquatic animals. Fish, sea anemones, starfish, crabs, they are aquatic animals. Even seals, walruses, sea lions, they are also aquatic but semi-aquatic. Semi-aquatic means partly they live on land as well as they live in the water. That's why they are called semi-aquatic. Both on the land they live and also under the water also they live. In the water also they live. Okay. Next comes amphibians. Amphibians. Just before I said about frog, isn't it? Animals like frog and toads and newts live both on land and in water. So the animals that live both on land and in water, they are called as amphibians. So we learned about terrestrial animals, animals that live on land. According to the animals where they live, we can classify them into different types. So first we learned about terrestrial animals. These are the animals that live on land. elephant, lion, tiger, all these kinds of animals are live on land. So these kind of animals, some they build their homes, some live in the natural open places. Like snake dig the holes and they live. Then lions, tigers, they live in the rock caves. Then some animals live under the trees, elephants and all, deers and all. Then we learned about arboreal animals. They are the animals that live on trees. Monkeys, squirrels, they live on trees actually. They are arboreal animals, we say. Then we came to aquatic animals, the animals that live in the water. So there are different kinds of fishes that live in the water. Fish, crabs, jellyfish, etc., starfish. They all live inside the water. Inside the water provides them food and oxygen to live. And in some fishes like eels, they live in coral reefs. We say it's a kind of rock we can see inside the water. So eels, E-E-L-S, is a kind of fish, looks like a snake. So these fish live in the coral reefs. Then there are some semi-aquatic animals, we say, because they live partly on land, sometimes on land, at the same time they live in the water also. Why they comes to the land means they want to produce the young ones, to give rise to young ones, or to produce young ones, to reproduce. They comes onto the land and to take rest. Then afterwards they goes again to water. So they are semi-aquatic animals. They are walrus, sea lion. These animals we can see in the polar region where is very, so cold area, very cold, full of snow. Then we learned about amphibians. Amphibians are the animals that live on land as well as water. Land and water. Both land and water they live. Example, frog, toads. They are the animals that live both on land and in water. Okay. So far we learned about animal shelters in the natural surroundings, in the open places, on the land, under the trees, on the trees, in the ground, in the holes in the ground, under the water. Land also we have seen, under the water also we have seen, in the open places we have seen, isn't it? Now we'll see about animals that build their own homes. Okay, which are those animals? Animals that build their homes. Some animals live in natural homes while some build their own homes. There are few animals that build homes, their own. Let's learn about them. Okay, first one, already you have seen nest, N-E-S-T-S, isn't it? Who builds nests? Yes, birds build nests, isn't it? Birds build nest. When they have to lay eggs. When they have to lay eggs, they build nest. They use straw, thread, twigs, leaves, grass and feathers to build them. So they use these kinds of materials to build their nest. They themselves build nest on the trees. They use straws, twigs, branches of trees, thread, leaves. They collect these all things and they build nest to lay eggs, to take care of the young ones. They usually build nest in high and hidden places where their enemies cannot catch. They are so intelligent, isn't it? Where they will build the nest, very high and hidden places, so that enemies should not see. When the birds lay eggs, when they give rise to the young ones, small babies, some other animals will come and take it and they will eat, isn't it? So to protect themselves and their babies from enemies, they build nest on the trees, but very high and hidden places. We can see the nest in places like trees, buildings, halls and walls. We can see the nest not only on the trees, we can see in some buildings, some birds building the nest, halls, and on the walls somewhere we can see the birds building the nest. The size of the nest varies according to the size of the bird and the number of eggs it lays. Size means it can be small, it can be big, it depends on the size of the bird and the number of eggs it lays. If number of eggs are more, they build big nest. If the number of eggs are less, they build small nest. Once the baby birds are able to fly, the nests are abandoned. Once after laying eggs, this small birds will come out of these eggs. Then afterwards they grow. When the stage comes, when they started to fly, what happens? The mother bird will abandon the nest. Means they left out. They will leave the nest. They don't want nest again. Once they started flying, now they are healthy, active, we say. They are okay. They can take care of themselves. After that, they leave off the nest. Birds like sparrows and crows build deep cup-shaped nest to prevent the young ones from falling out. So there are different kinds of birds, isn't it? So sparrow, how sparrows build the nest? Sparrows and crows, how they built the nest? Sparrows, then crows. Okay, they build deep cup-shaped nest to prevent the young ones from falling out. Otherwise, the young ones, the babies, fall out from the nest. So to prevent them, they build always deep cup-shaped nest. You can see the image there. Okay. Then a partridge, another bird. Partridge. Partridge. How they build the nest? It builds a shallow nest in the ground in a paddy field. They build a shallow nest under the ground, or in a paddy field or in a grass field. They build, not on the trees. It keeps the nest cozy and warm. Cozy means warm, hot. Comfort, cozy and warm, by filling it with dry grass and leaves. On the paddy field, they build the nest and they fill it with all dry grasses and leaves so that they should feel so warm. Okay. Then parrots, owls, hornbills make nest in hollow spaces, hollow where there is unfilled spaces, we say. In the trees or wells, they build. These parrots, owls and all build in the wells or in the spaces. Hollow spaces will be there, some unfilled spaces on trees. There itself they build the nest. So these are the different types of birds that build nest. Okay, sparrows and crows, they build deep cup-shaped nest. Why? To prevent the young ones from falling out. Partridge, they build shallow nest in the ground, in a paddy field, we can say. Then parrots, owls and all, they build nest on the hollow spaces on the trees and or wells. Next comes weaver bird. Weaver bird is the weaver bird. Weaves the nest, we say. How that bird builds the nest? It makes a nest that hangs upside down. See the image there? Hanging, isn't it? Hangs upside down. The bird uses twigs, very small branches of trees, thin branches, and grass also to build the nest. It enters the nest through an opening at its bottom. At its bottom there is a small opening, through that it will enter. It will be like hanging. Weaver bird build a nest that hangs upside down. They use twigs and grass to build this nest. At the bottom there is a small opening where it can come through that openings. Then next comes tailor bird. Tailor birds, how they build the nest? Tailor bird makes its nest using broad leaves, big leaves that are stitched together. It uses its needle-like beak to stitch the leaves. See, you can see how the tailor bird, that's why the name is tailor. It's stitching that leaves. They'll take big leaves and they stitch it together and they build the nest, because the beaks, it's like a needle. So using that, it will stitch the nest. A tailor bird makes the nest using broad leaves. See the breadth of that leaves, big one, broad one, and that are stitched together. They stitch it together. These leaves they will collect and they stitch it together. And how they stitch the leaves? Using its needle-like beak. Okay. Then a woodpecker makes a hole in the tree. See the woodpecker picture building the nest. Children, woodpecker is a bird that builds the nest by making a hole in a tree with its beak and build its nest. See, its beak is a long one beak. Using that, it fills the hole. It makes a hole in the tree trunk. See, you can see the image there. Okay, so a woodpecker makes a hole in a tree trunk with its beak and build its nest there. Then and keeps all its babies there safe. A kingfisher digs out tunnels on riverbanks and makes its nest. Next is kingfisher, another bird. How it builds the nest? Kingfisher digs out tunnels. Means like underground passage. Underground, it will build some tunnels that water will go like that. Some tunnels will be like that. This kingfisher digs underground passage on river banks near the shore of the river. There it builds and it makes its nest. Okay, these are the birds that build nest in different ways. Okay, usually birds use twigs, leaves, then grass, feathers to make the nest. Like sparrows and crows, they build deep cup shaped nest to prevent the young ones from falling out. Partridge build a shallow nest in the ground in a paddy field or grassland, we say. Parrots, owls, hornbills, they build nest on the hollow spaces in trees or wells. Weaver bird makes a nest that hangs upside down. Then tailor bird using broad leaves, it stitch the leaves and make the nest. Woodpecker makes a hole in the tree and build the nest. Kingfisher digs out tunnels on river banks and makes the nest. Different types of birds building nest in a different way, isn't it? Yes.